Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. At this point in time, we have the privilege to speak to Mr. Rajiv Gowda, who's the Congress Bangalore North candidate, who's joining us at this point in time. Mr. Gowda, appreciate you speaking with us, sir. I hope you can hear me. Mr. Gowda? Mr. Rajiv Gowda, I hope you can hear me, sir. So would you unmute yourself, sir, please? Sir? All right, there seems to be a connection problem there. We'll try and rope him in momentarily. However, we'll move on now. Supreme Court of India has given its verdict on a plea seeking 100% verification of EVM votes against VVPAT slips. The Supreme Court questioned the intent behind raising doubts over EVM. Supreme Court, in its order, showed trust in the safety process followed by the Election Commission for fair conduct of elections. What remains to be seen is whether the political war over the hackability of EVM comes to an end with this order or the issue will continue to swell. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Mr. Sandeep Chandra. He's right here with me by my side in the studio. Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh, BJP leader, also joins us on this important issue. Mr. Nikhil Jain, political analyst, with us on the program as well. Mr. Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist, on the show with us as well. Last but not the least, Professor Dr. GVR Shastri, senior political commentator and analyst, also joins us on the program. Nikhil, I'll begin with you. Well, what do you think is the concern with EVMs? You know, there is obviously, there is alternative narrative that, EVMs perhaps are not reliable. You know, it's important to use ballot papers, but we are looking at, a country with a population of over 1 billion. So obviously the logistics, the administration and the management also has to be prudent and practical and justified. Do you think with this order coming in, the opposition that has time and again brought this issue up is going to go mum? Or do you think they're still going to continue to push this particular plank so that somewhere in the future, if something doesn't go according to what the opposition plans or envisaged, they could blame the EVMs for it?
So, Vineet, the interesting thing about EVMs is that every time a party is in the opposition, they will raise questions about it. So when the BJP was in opposition, they had a whole bunch of questions about the EVM and the veracity of the electoral process with the elections being conducted through EVMs. In fact, GVL Narasimha Rao, who's now a Rajya Sabha member from the BJP, had written an entire book about it in 2010. And ever since 2014, when the Congress has been in opposition, they have been raising the question about the veracity of the EVMs. Now, I don't know whether the EVMs are foolproof or not, but there are a couple of points. In law, there's a simple saying, justice shall not only be done, it should be seen to be done. So if a bunch of opposition parties across the country and a bunch of voters, perhaps millions of voters, have some, apprehension that elections with EVMs are not, or in the current manner, are perhaps not the most fair, then I think it becomes a job of the Election Commission to make sure that that perception does not sit in the hearts of the people. Whatever the Election Commission can do to make the process seem more transparent, they should. And I don't think going back to ballot papers is perhaps practical in India. I don't know the math about it, but I think probably it's not. But I think what is definitely practical is counting 100% of the VVPAT slips. The Election Commission, in its own affidavit to the Supreme Court in this particular specific matter itself, had said that would delay the counting by 6 days if you were to count 50% of the VVPAT slips, which basically means that if you were to count all the VVPAT slips, it would be an additional time of 12 days. However, some independent analysts have pointed out that even a 12-day period is too long a period. 1 or 2 days is more than enough to count all the VVPAT slips. That being said, I really don't understand that when we do expend so much manpower, resources and money on conducting our elections, thousands of crores the government of India spends, why can we not count all the VVPAT slips? Now, the Supreme Court has definitely not, held the been in sync with the voice of the petitioners, the Association for Democratic Reforms and the other petitioners who were seeking for the counting of all the slips. But I feel the court should have gone into that. And also one very important point, the Election Commission has told the Supreme Court that there have never been any discrepancies between the VVPAT slips and the EVMs, which is not the truth. I'm not sure why the petitioners did not raise that or why did the court not go into it further. But I'm reading from a May 2019 report, and apparently there were 373 Lok Sabha constituencies in the previous election where there was some or the other mismatch between the EVM tally and the VVPAT tally. For instance, Kanchipuram constituency in Tamil Nadu, there the EVM votes were in a
Nikhil,
surplus of
just
18,000.
hold on to that thought. We are in fact getting to speak to Mr. Rajiv Gowda, the Congress candidate from North Bangalore. Mr. Gowda, I hope you can hear me now, sir.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Thank you for joining us, sir, at such a short notice. First up, all the best. You're contesting from Bangalore North. What do you anticipate, sir? The people are in the mood for. Is it going to be ground realities versus promises?
Very much so. But the very interesting fact is, our promises from the Congress party are in response to people's ground realities. The challenges, difficulties they face. So and when people are very grateful for reaching out and.
All right, sir. There seems to be a connection issue, sir. I apologize, sir. There seems to be a connection issue. All right, we're going to get back to our debate. Mr. Chandra, what are your thoughts on VVPATs? Of course, the court has come down heavily saying that there is nothing wrong with the veracity as well as, the functioning of VVPATs. Really, we don't have to go back to ballot papers. That is something that India did years ago. We are moving on one hand, we are, looking at producing chips, looking at artificial intelligence. Then why would we go back to this manual method of counting votes?
You see, Vinayji, you have nailed the whole issue by asking this question, why should we go back? When we should not go back, VVPATs is fine, ballot counting, manual counting, ballot paper stamping was, opposition had resolved to huge corruption. Today, even the Supreme Court has said there is nothing wrong. This hacking bogey is being raised by the opposition parties because they are reading the writing on the wall. There is a saying, it always pays to be clever, but never be too clever by half. So, I would like to say it is not possible, but hypothetically, suppose the opposition wins. So, will they say that cancel the election because we have won because of hacked VVPATs? So, this is downright stupid. Writing is on the wall that Mr. Modi is not a Mr. Modi wave. It's a tsunami Mr. Modi has created for this country. It's a tsunami wave for Mr. Modi, and that has been done by his affirmative, consequential, proactive actions, and the whole country is watching. And I would like to ask, the country through you, Vinayji, that what does the opposition have to say about the opposition party coming in power in Telangana? What do they have to say about malfunction of VVPATs in Punjab or in Delhi? So when the opposition loses, that means EVMs have been hacked. When the BJP wins, when the opposition wins, EVMs have not been hacked. And when BJP wins, EVMs have been hacked. So this is all nonsense. The country is watching with horror that one dead issue, non-issue, you're raising one issue after another issue. Writing is on the wall across the country and even beyond the boundaries. There is a Mr. Modi tsunami, not a Modi wave, because of what he has done to the country. Abrogation of Article 370, making triple talaq illegal, construction of Ram Mandir, landing of the Chandrayaan in the dark side of the moon. Why have all these things happened in Mr. Modi's tenure? Because Mr. Modi says what he has to deliver. He under promises and over delivers on time. So that is why all this EVM, VVPAT is a non-issue. Country will vote, and I can stick my neck out and say that the BJP is headed for a resounding, stunning victory which will startle everybody.
Right, absolutely. And Mr. Bhatt, I remember in 2019, the same issue was also raised by the opposition. In fact, there was a march to the Election Commission's office by a number of notable people from the opposition, including Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. But the fact of the matter is, and something which was very well elucidated by Mr. Chandra as well, that when you win a particular state, then the EVMs are fine, but when you lose, they have a problem. It sounds like the Donald Trump syndrome. Sir, you're muted.
Am I?
Now I can hear you now, sir.
Okay. See, it's always like that. Anybody who loses, the grades are always sour when you don't reach it. It's as simple as that. But today, I think, Supreme Court yesterday night itself, when it gave some observations, and then today when it gave out the verdict, has made it very, very clear. Let's get over this now. Enough is enough. With so many years, everybody has been complaining about. Those who lose will complain that EVMs are not good. Now, that doesn't work that way. Here, a provision has been given. In fact, yesterday, I was speaking to one of the former election commissioners, and very clearly he said, our EVMs and our system is hack-proof. The reason is it is not joined with mobile phones. He was very clear about it. And today they have come out, they will be kept for 45 days. Those who have an objection can get it totally counted again at their own expense. Because if they are not proved right, they will have to bear the expenses. Fine enough, fair enough. Because this should not be the mode of contention of winning and losing the election, my friend. This has to be something which people, because by doing these things, you are trying to put a doubt in the people's mind, that not everything is all right. As if when the ballot papers were there, was everything all right? We have seen with our eyes, like covering, that ballot boxes were looted. We have seen that happening in our lifetime. And here at least that doesn't happen because there are 17 seconds, in between gap. When one vote is poured in, the next vote comes in only after 17 to 18 seconds gap. That people need to understand. And so let's get over this issue now, once for all. It's done, and it's done. This is the system. Best what you can refine in it, yes, technically, sound people will do it. And try and do it. And get over it. Because victory and defeat cannot be decided by whether EVMs are hacked or not. No, sir, it's been going on for too long.
Nikhil, well, there is an argument still at large that ballot papers should return. What do you think has been the argument in favor of them?
See, personally, I feel that any machine is bound. It is generally believed that any machine is bound to be, hacked in some or the other manner. Now, the Election Commission's justification, which personally I feel makes a lot of sense, is that the EVMs that are used in India are deliberately such low technology devices like calculators that it is very hard to tamper with them. It's not like you can go with a smartphone and just put in some malicious software. However, an interesting point to note, whenever this argument is made that we are now on the path to manufacturing silicon chips, we are technologically advancing and this and that. The interesting thing is that all the countries, the first world countries, which are far ahead of India in terms of technological development and research and things like that, they started with the EVMs and they have gone back to the ballot paper, whether it is Germany or whether it is US. Now, that alone cannot be the reason for India to transition, but to assume that just because we are going back to the ballot paper is something that, some primitive country without any technology would do, that is a farcical argument because the most developed countries in the world are still conducting their elections with ballot papers, despite having tried the EVM route. Now, again, I am not saying that we should go back to the ballot papers, but I really do not understand that despite all the resources that we spend, despite numerous reports having come out of mismatches in different constituencies on VVPAT slips and EVM machines, why can we not count 100% of the votes? See, today the Congress is making this charge. Tomorrow, if the Congress wins, the Congress is going to go mum on the EVMs and the BJP is going to start making that charge. What is the way around it? And another fact that your viewers must know is that the opposition parties have been seeking an audience with the Election Commission for the past 1 year to discuss on the EVM issue, but the Election Commission has very conveniently declined to meet them. Now, whether you count all the VVPAT slips or not, you go back to the ballots or not, but it is the job of the Election Commission to meet the political parties, whether opposition or ruling, and ensure that they have trust and faith in the system. But they are acting like a private company. Ki hamare marzi, hame nahi milna to nahi milna. That is not how it can be. And when the Election Commission is dealing with the elections in such a cavalier manner, and also another important point that the EVMs are managed by Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, which is the Government of India PSU. Now, they are the ones who program them, they are the ones who maintain them, they are the ones who are dealing with most of the technological processes that go into maintaining the EVMs. Now, on the board of directors of that particular company, there are political appointees of the BJP. I'm not talking about somebody who has a political leaning towards the BJP, but people who are politicians, right? Now, when you have political appointees of the ruling party in the board of directors of the company which is managing the EVMs, when the election commission is not meeting the opposition alliance for a year, when there have been reports about mismatch of VVPAT slips and EVMs, when the BJP itself has raised questions in the past about the efficacy of the EVMs or the veracity of the election results through EVMs, when other parties are doing that, I really do not understand why can we not count 100% of the VVPAT slips. Now, one day somebody might say कि election ही क्यों कर रहे हो? पता तो है मोदी आने वाले हैं तो election ही मत करो. We can't have such cavalier arguments. The entire process has to induce as much trust as possible in the voters, in the parties, to make sure that we maintain our reputation in the world as a very well-functioning democracy. I think that's
all right. So the charge is that we perhaps are not. Political analyst Professor GVR Shastri is also joining us on the program. Professor Shastri, what's your assessment of this tug of war between the opposition and the election commission, if I can say, when it comes to VVPATs? Aren't EVMs absolutely foolproof?
See, technology is never be a foolproof. Technology is always a ruthless, and technology never be a foolproof.
But if we can trust our money to technology, why can't we trust our votes?
No, please remember, a vote is watchable, verifiable and viewable. A vote is watchable, verifiable and viewable. A democracy is like that. A technology is, nobody can, in the election commission, nobody can't, even God can't claim that technology is foolproof. Technology never be a foolproof. I am a technocrat. I am telling you from IIT Delhi. I am a doctorate of IIT. A technology never be a foolproof. Never, ever be a foolproof. It is the system that you adopt it. The democracy, you want to maintain it. The authenticity and originality, you want to maintain it. But there are two aspects of it. You are making the entire issue towards BJP. That is the where I have an objection.
So you think it's a non-issue?
No, the issue is simple. The issue is straight. Let us talk about the issue about the process and procedure of the election commission is concerned. It is not the appointment of election commissioner or anybody. It is procedure and process of the election process that you adopted an electronic voting machine. But first of all, fundamental question is it a foolproof or not? It is not a foolproof. Even fingers also not even foolproof. Voting just you do in a manual also it's not. So you need to adapt such a situation where the minimized and maximized authenticity, minimized these practices, illegal practices, and maximized authenticity. With regards to Supreme Court, what will Honorable Supreme Court will do? Honorable Supreme Court can say that VVPAT count karna. Do you think that if VVPAT 100% is counted, it is matched with that? No. No, I am telling you no. No means no. So, Supreme Court is absolutely right. But what is happening, my friend, one advocate of Mr. Jain is saying, it's all, he is reflecting the things towards the BJP. Forget about BJP. What do you mean? If you put a foolproof mechanism, if at all anything is there. Even Donald Trump claimed that this Biden has rigged the election and he won the election. While leaving the White House, he left a note. I won, you lost, and you got it. And he was not present there. So
Right.
biggest democracies are challenging the process. Not
Right.
accepting the procedure.
Yeah, and Mr. Chandra, can you remember, obviously, this is something which is not something new. EVMs have also been around for a long time, and so have ballot papers. Can you remember a controversy or an issue whereby historically, this has sort of created this doubt in people's mind, or in the Election Commission's mind, or the government's mind, or the opposition's mind, that both these methods of voting, are laden with flaws? I can't remember a single one.
You see, you are not 100% right, you are 500% right, Mr. Malhotra. There is not a single incidence. You are just sowing doubts in the minds of people. It is the biggest, we are the biggest democracy on the planet, in the world. And, people from other countries come and watch how elections are conducted in India. This bogey of the opposition party, they have become frustrated. And they're going on raising this bogey. Today, left to the opposition parties, they will say, we don't even trust this apex court of the country. What court will you trust? Do you want to appoint your own appointees who don't have any, any knowledge of law? So the court, in its wisdom, has given a fantastic judgment, is a correct judgment, and it is a timely judgment. And this controversy should end now, because the opposition, cannot beat BJP. They cannot beat the development work being done by Mr. Modi. So and I am reminded of a Hindi saying that, I just quoted that in opposition states, when you win, EVMs are right, and when you lose across the country, EVMs are wrong. There is a Hindi saying, At bhi meri, pat bhi meri, anta mere baap ka. This does not, you cannot have it both ways. So today, a final curtain should, come down on this thing, and I would like to compliment the apex court for giving a very good judgment, and it is a timely judgment, and it has shut the mouth of the opposition. It is a slap on the opposition's face that you are going on suspecting the EVMs.
All right, hopefully this matter is closed now, and the opposition is perhaps going to halt making an issue about it. We've run out of time. Would like to thank all my guests for being a part of this wonderful conversation. We'll take a short break. My colleague Rishabh is on the other side.